All right, we got a thumbs up. So we are Facebook Live for our work session in preparation for our recess meeting of Tuesday, June the 18th. So we do not have a presentation today, so I'll call this one to order and we'll move right into the items on the agenda, which will probably take us a good 10 minutes unless something crops up of great interest to everyone. So in looking at potential consent agenda items, we have 2 sets of minutes. Mr. Hutchinson, anything about any of those, or Ms. Harden, anything? We good for those?
We're good.
We're good. On those items?
Consent all in 1 minute.
Okay. I don't have any comments listed. We don't have any introductions, so whatever may come up on Tuesday night may be what we talk about. Does anybody have anything they want highlighted on there? Okay. No?
We have something to say about the bike rally. We tried.
Oh, okay.
We got a meeting Monday night.
Okay, but it's not till August, right?
Yeah, so we got some more time.
Okay.
If there's anything that they comes up, we'll put
Okay.
it on our minutes and say.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Citizens' comments, we'll have our usual, I feel sure, Mr. Turner will join us. And Ms. Miller is going to provide us with an update on the horse park. It always comes in lieu, or in addition to their budget request for the year, but in this case, Ms. Miller is retiring, so she wants to come one last time and join us. And so she's always been a wonderful advocate, and we'll look forward to hearing from her. So that will be the one public appearance that we have. And then we've got the first public hearing on the municipal code and unified development code. And Daniel, do you have anything you want to share with us about this in particular?
This is a lot shorter than the last one. We're removing the stuff from the municipal code that we added to UDC last time. We're amending the development standard charge for signs and institutional and educational zoning districts. And then we're adding a section, or enhancing the section for right-of-way protection, which includes like the trimming of trees with the right-of-way.
Okay. Have you had any feedback from anybody? You got anything?
No, I mean, inside the community development and engineering, we passed around the right-of-way thing a couple times and we
Okay.
got it to a really good draft. So.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Havlin?
What do you say about the signs on the institutional?
We currently don't allow like a lot of typical wall signs, projection signs, awning signs within institutional or educational districts. So, and that kind of came to light when they were trying to do the sign for Newborn. So we realized that those items needed to be on there. So this is adding them. But we didn't realize that wasn't on the last update. So.
Okay. Well, it'll always be something we'll be tweaking.
Yep.
So. Okay, all right, well, that will be a public hearing. Mayor's got no business, board's got no business unless somebody's got something that we haven't heard about yet. And under airport, no items, community development, no items, courts, no items, engineering, no items, except for falling under parks, I believe. So we've got the claim docket, we've got acceptance of May financials. Anything about the financials, Ms. Harden, that we need to be made aware of? Okay. Consent for that one. And then the housekeeping of transferring the police car. This is the official transfer.
Yes, ma'am.
For its paperwork purpose, so it's housekeeping. Consent for that one?
Can I make a?
Yes, ma'am.
Under board business, some of the ones that have the packets, it states the transfer of the acceptance of the streets,
Okay, and
and
we
that was
pulled that.
removed by Mr. Burnett
That's my fault.
yesterday.
Yeah, I got it too late, Lisa, but
Okay.
we pulled it, they didn't some of the paper packets.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, it's not on mine, so I just assumed y'all didn't have it on yours. But anyway, there's no board business, so. Okay, and under fire department, we've got travel from Ms. Malone to go to a conference. She is here, you have consent for that one. HR and Mr. Ashford, anything of these that are not replacement positions? All replacement positions, so consent for those? Okay. IT, Joel, would you explain to everyone about the firewall business?
Yes, ma'am. This is a new firewall appliance that we need. Our current one is a little over 5 years old and it's end of life, so we do need to replace it. And we are experiencing some end of life issues with the current one, so we would like to go ahead and get this approved and get it replaced as quickly as
Well, I thought it was
possible.
interesting that the issues that you were experiencing with it, so what it was not letting you do.
Sure, we just can't get into it right now.
Exactly. So it blocks, but you can't unblock stuff?
That's right.
Yeah, so anyway.
Or just that it blocked you?
No,
I'm
no.
picking.
Basically, the last status is what it's doing, so whatever was blocked is still blocked, whatever is unblocked, and occasionally we get requests to whitelist a certain URL if somebody needs to access something. It doesn't come up super frequently, but it does occur, and so We could not currently do that if we needed to.
And how quickly can you get it? once this is
We're
approved?
working with the vendor to get that shipped as quickly as possible, but those turnarounds are always at least a couple of 3 weeks after purchase.
So it's a physical item?
It is, it's an appliance that will be shipped here, that's
Okay.
right.
All right. Okay, thank you. Consent. Professional services contract with Neil Schaefer. Mr. Burnett, anything about that one you want to share?
No, ma'am, the size of the project requires the NDEQ SWIP to erosion control, and so Neil Schaefer's putting it together for us.
Okay. All right, consent for that one? Okay. Code enforcement, we've got two public hearing, or two calling for a public hearing, and one's the 200 Filter Street, which Alderman Vaughn, you're very familiar with, I'm sure. And then the other one is some properties that are out in the 182 Clayton Village District, and these are just calling for public hearings, so consent for those. And under Utilities Department, we've got the electric vehicle charging station, which is going to be at the public lot off of Lampkin. And so we finally got a bid that works, is that correct?
Yes,
This
ma'am.
was one to rebid.
Yes.
Ma'am,
This is the rebid.
yes, ma'am.
Well, how many, how many stations will that be?
It's one big, large DC fast charging station.
This has two, it's got one of those.
Yes,
plug-in,
yes,
right?
it has multiple plug-ins. It's just one, it's a fast charging station. It's meant for basically just, 2 hours or something. It's a lot faster than the ones we have now.
Yeah. But is it more than two, or is it just two?
I think it's just two
Two
outlets on
plug-in?
that out one.
I think that's what's standard with those. Just two.
And
Okay.
the cover sheet shows the breakdown of the grants and then the actual city match.
Okay. Okay, all right, consent for that one? Okay. Authorization to advertise for bids for aeration and electrical improvements project. Anything about that one, Sabrina, we need to know about? Okay, consent for that one? Okay. And authorization to advertise for qualified engineering firms for consultant services.
Mayor,
Yes,
what
sir.
all does that entail? I mean, what general consulting engineering services, but it would be for water sewer, what all? I mean, for all projects or specific projects or just whatever comes up? Or how's that, how do we do that? How's that?
Notice my eyes are looking right down there.
So it's based on the comprehensive evaluation, just to see what various funding opportunities we can have, state, federal, and just base the firms just on the qualifications, again, on the federal and state procurement guidelines for
It
it.
is a sort of a preemptive. If we get these grants, then we want to be ready, so that's part of this, but in terms of
If,
But that
exactly
kind
what
of,
we're
I'm
going
gonna
to
use
do.
the word segue. Does that segue into part of this analysis we had, like our water system and the fact that the capital projects we'll have to do, they'll have to require some bonding or require some grant, I guess some
Yes,
grants. that
well,
will
we're
flow into
seeking
that.
grants for those, that was part of that Washington trip.
Oh.
So, yeah.
we're gonna seek all the funding we can get to
Yeah.
External
maximize.
funding,
Yes,
yes.
yes, sir.
Mayor, while we're talking about that, can we have utilities department at some point that's reasonably possible to do so, come in and update us on this water loss stuff and give us an idea of mitigation efforts or what they found out or something? Because then your sheriff just kind of opened that up and then we lose this. If it's not misbilling or if it's not flushing of lines or something like that, we're losing a significant amount of water. We're not a lot of towns lose water. But that's a lot of water, 45% of water.
I absolutely agree. I think we were all probably a little
I'll take
stunned by that
that, yeah.
number when we got that report. But yes, what we'll do is we're going to be bringing in Jason Barrett, and we'll be having another water sewer discussion. First meeting in August, I believe it is, for a work session, or maybe the last meeting in July, but we'll bring it back, and that'll be part of that.
I know we may have some capacity in-house to do analysis of the water system and stuff, but I mean, we have to hire a consultant, we have to hire somebody that does this kind of stuff for a living, try to figure out what, we may be misbilling or unbilling or something, but we've got a little over 2 million gallons a day is uncounted.
Yeah, and I think that may be a little high, because I really do think that some of the things that we've done, because we aren't flushing nearly as much as we used to flush, because we don't have groundwater issues like we used to have, so I think there may be some slop in those numbers, but we absolutely need to make sure that the next time we look at it, it's on a trajectory that's downward and not certainly not going up. for sure.
I talked to Bailey yesterday, and she's not confident that those numbers are accurate, because they
agree.
didn't account for the flushing and that kind of stuff. And
That
we got a new
1,000
billing
gallons,
system too. She's not positive that all that got into that stuff.
Yeah, so I think we probably.
Which I hope that's the case.
Well, and we are working on trying to identify the variables that are not included in that number to determine what the actual loss is, because there are probably some variables in there that don't account for the flushing and for, when we have huge losses, we don't measure that fire protection, that's non-metered, the 1,000 gallons that we include in the base rate, all of those things, so that the
We've
board can
done a
have
number of
updated.
things. I mean, we've gone vastly, that's part of what we did when we, did Pleasant Acres, did Green Oaks, did Berlin, all of those, and analyzed those water lines in there. So I think we're constantly working to mitigate, but, we'll get there.
The ones that keep me up now, I thought about these lines that run through the woods, these water mains, these 8-10s, and they're 4 feet on the ground. Somebody said, well, wouldn't it pond up? It won't necessarily. We'll just, that water that's going to the ground, we'll know it. But we could have significant water loss. We might not. But I would want by the end of this fiscal year, we get a handle on what we're really losing everything.
Well, I like to say
I think that's a really smart thing, to give them enough time to do the investigative work that they need to do to shore up those numbers. So important to have them come back, but at a time frame that has given them a chance to look.
And I think the plan will be to, get a firm number and then a plan of action to decrease it over, what we can do now immediately and then over time to make sure that.
It's what we have right now, Mayor, is we actually truly have a demand of 4.7 million gallons that we're pumping that, and 2.6 is going into houses and businesses and going into tanks and whatever we treat it, and we've been paid for that, and 2 million is unaccounted for. We say unaccounted for, but yet it's going somewhere. If it's going out a hole somewhere, it's not being accounted, or it's just misaccounted. It's just, not being accounted for in a building system or power. There's maybe somebody out here somewhere tapping us or something. We just don't know, but that's a lot of water when you probably handle. The other thing, only one other thing that I mentioned came out of the report was that one of the things was that our wells run a lot, and that's because of this increased demand. If we had a handle on this thing, we probably wouldn't have quite that amount of demand, which would cut those pump run times back. The other part of the thing is that if I understood the engineers correctly, they said we had 3 million gallons of capacity, but we really don't. We only have 2.5 because the North Star part is not connected to the city system. Is that right?
It does not pump back into the city system, but
We
it
pump
helps.
out to it to fill it up.
Yeah,
but
but
we
it
don't
helps
pump.
us meet the demand of the water system, Trim Canyon water system up there in the North Star. So.
But if we had it back into the system, we'd actually use a 6 tank into our system, and we could do that, we might be able to put off, build a new well or something like that. We got if that's actually 500,000 gallons of additional storage that goes right back becomes part of our capacity storage in our city, that might be something that
Well, I think that certainly is something to look at if we do that, but I also think we need to remember that our growth and development is going to require that additional well, so we're going to need to plan
Well, sure.
for 10 and 15 years.
But I
out,
think
so.
that realistically, we might get a lumber mill out in the industrial park next year. We could, and they're a big water user. But the type industries we're getting at now are not going to look like they're not going to be big water users.
At this point, we don't think so.
And then it's only Trim Canyon other than that. And that's a big old storage tank that probably ought to be back in, be part of our connected to our
I
system.
think part of that analysis that they'll be doing will be,
Yeah.
how are we best served to make sure that we can do.
And how that could be connected into our city system as a priority or something.
Yep.
They'll look at our existing facilities and determine whether or not, we're using them to our maximum capacity, I believe, and then if we need additional, where would be the strategic place to put them based on volume growth, all those things.
They're basing our capacity as a percentage of the use of something at 77%. But if we take that water tank out and we only have 2.5 million worth in the city of capacity, then that capacity versus what we pump out is a lot closer. It's a lot closer to 100%, that kind of thing. Mayor, I do. Thank you.
All right.
Whatever I need to do.
So the advertising, consent for that one? I've forgotten where we were, yes. Consent for that one, okay. And then accepting the lowest quote from Burns for labor for the retaining wall. If you recall along Highway 12 there, that retaining wall is damaged, so get consent for that one. And Sabrina, what about when are we getting the quote for this optical fiber?
I hope we have it by the end of the day today. If not, then Monday.
Okay, so we'll fill in the blank then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We will
so
fill in the
leave-
blank.
We'll leave that one off consent until we,
Can I ask a question while we're
Sure.
on utilities? The new hire for the sanitation, he's operator two. Did we hire him somewhere else? I'm just
for
curious.
sanitation?
Not sanitation, sorry,
Wastewater.
wastewater, Lord help me. Yeah, wastewater.
I do not know the answer to that. That might be.
That's an
He
HR.
used to work here. He used to work here and he left and went somewhere.
Did he go from somewhere else? Just because he's already an operator too, I was just
He
curious.
worked here before.
I got you, okay. I was just, because he's qualified.
It is in front of, what you call it, Nichols property. Okay, anything, what was it?
That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, no, well, yeah, actually, yeah, in the cotton mill area, yeah, over in there. It was, yeah. All right, well, that takes us to the end of the agenda. We've got nothing for a closed session, or, excuse me, executive session, so.
Mayor, may I mention one more thing?
Yes, sir.
He wouldn't be me if I didn't have some point.
I understand that.
Um,
That's-
The budget packets and the preliminary budget stuff that we can get to us by when, and so we can start to look at, just start to kind of,
We're having our budget meetings that will include department head meetings next week. So we will get the numbers from the department heads, and then Webb will put those together. So this is the middle of June.
Probably second meeting in July.
we'll have something to have, start studying that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we'd be prepared for that if we, meetings necessary to be able for us to flesh it out and have department heads ask questions, that kind of stuff. Okay.
Okay, all right. That being said, then we're adjourned, folks. Thank you, everyone.